Now let's head to Indonesia now, where members of the military have steadily taken over what were once civilian roles. Soldiers are now running farms and delivering food to classrooms, a sign of how central the military has become to the current government. As President Prabowo gets ready to mark a year in office, critics warn that his policies risk reviving Indonesia's authoritarian past.
Indonesia's army is no longer just preparing to be combat ready. Soldiers are now working on farms and serving school meals. President Prabowo Subianto, a former general, sees the armed forces as a role model, even for his own cabinet. At a military-style retreat, Prabowo drilled his ministers on his vision for governing.
During the colonial era, we were treated lower than animals. So our nation needs a strong military. No country can be truly independent without a powerful army.
And it's that power the president wants to see in government too. A revised law now allows him to place high-ranking officers in powerful civilian posts. Student organisations filed a legal challenge to the move, but it was dismissed by the Constitutional Court. The students say Prabowo's policy shift reminded them of the dual-function military of the past. That's the mix of politics and security that Indonesia dismantled after the fall of the new order, the regime of the long-time authoritarian ruler Suharto.
We never lived through the New Order era, and we don't want to experience it either. But what we're seeing doesn't look much different. Civil space is being silenced, activists are being criminalized, and laws are being pushed through that go against public reason, against people's will.
Using the military to consolidate power is a familiar playbook, says this former general, who helped end the dual function during Indonesia's democratic transition. Soldiers are loyal, disciplined, and highly organized. But he warns that politicians must prove they can lead without leaning on the army.
So why do you have to pull the military out of their professional domain into a more wider domain where it is not in their specialty? If we rely too much on the military, and if the state, if a country relies on the military, they will never be an advanced country.
Now, the military is preparing to celebrate its 80th anniversary. Whether it stays at the centre of public life beyond the celebrations is what Indonesians are watching closely.
Bivitri Susanti is a constitutional law expert and deputy chair at the Indonesia Jentera School of Law. Hello, Bivitri. Welcome to the program. So just tell us more about how the Indonesian military is perceived by people in the country.
If the perception of public can be seen through surveys, I should mention that there were recent surveys showing that it's up to 90% trust that the military got from the public. But I should add there that there is a context. There was an unrest in the end of August this year, and there was a big demonstration where the police actually took action, very harsh action towards the demonstrators. So in Indonesia's history, there is this big rivalry between the military and the police. So usually when the police came to the scene, and then the people will, go back to the military. So there's these surveys showing as if there is big trust from the public, but I would say there's also big worries from human rights activists and the like to see how you described before that the military is now everywhere in the democratic process in Indonesia.
Right. I mean, President Prabowo wants the government to emulate the discipline and efficiency of the military.
Yes.
What's your response to that?
Well, a democratic government should be civilian government. And I can see that now Prabowo, having the military background himself, impose what we call now a command politics and command economy, whereas basically he would determine whatever he wants to in terms of policies and also budgeting process and even lawmaking process. And there's no opposition in Indonesia at this moment. Prabowo's government basically took over all the political party in the formal politics. So the military law, for example, which was enacted a couple of months ago, it was passed only in 9 days without any opposition from the parliament. And we even had another occasions where budgeting from Prabowo's government basically to support the military. Military is now the highest budgeted institution in our state budget. And still there's no opposition whatsoever from the parliament.
Right. So it's not, uncommon for the military in democracies to deploy, troops to help out civilians, right? Usually during disasters and, just generally to help out in some instances. So why is it alarming to see soldiers serving communities in Indonesia now?
Because it's going everywhere now, even when there is no disasters like today. So as we saw previously, that they even involved in the, we call it food estate. It's like the integrated agriculture projects. So the military would, plant cassava, corn, and all that, where they had already projects previously and it was all failed. But the modus is that they would grab the land and then have the food estate. And probably in some years, they will take the land and give it to corporations. Right. And then they also have civilian auxiliary troops everywhere. They call it development territorial troops. So basically, they deal with the free meal programs. They manage the kitchens, for children. And we now have very big number of food poisoning. So it's they're everywhere, and we understand that economic and democratic activities cannot work under the gun. So that's what's going on at this moment.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Constitutional law expert Bivitri Susanti in Jakarta.
Thank you.